Hi, it's Alpita, and this is what not to do in business to succeed. Today, we are talking about attaching to business to names, specifically names. So you've come up with this amazing business name. You're like, oh my God, it's cute, it's clever, it totally says what I do. I love it. You go to register the domain name and it's taken. Wah, wah, wah. Happens all the time. Or you put out a product or service out there and it's somebody else is already doing it. So it sucks when that happens. I'm going to be honest with you. Okay. It's so funny because yesterday I've had the business name Visions of Hope since 1999 and I've used it on and off. I've had 3 kids. So my business has taken a back seat many, many times. I had the domain name at one time and then I stopped paying for it because it was just like, it was another expense that I just didn't want to put money into something that I wasn't using. Right. At the time, later on, when I decided to, go back in and be serious about my business, the domain name now is $2,500. So I had to get creative. I actually at one point had Envision Hope, envisionhope.com. And then again, I was paying for a domain name I wasn't using. And then when we moved in here 6 years ago, it's so funny because I'm going to talk a lot about manifesting. Let me tell you, this is not just straight up marketing and business. We're talking intuition. We're talking about how to use synchronicity, how to use manifesting. It's all relevant, right? We create our own reality and we need to bring that into the business place, not this hard, step-by-step stuff that doesn't really resonate with most people. So when we moved in here, I was like, oh, we need a kitchen table. What else do we need? We needed a bunch of stuff. I wanted to get a new bed for the boys, all this stuff. And we didn't have the money for it. And so literally like the next day, I got a call from GoDaddy saying somebody wants to pay $1,000 for your domain name. And I was like, shut up. I was like, go for it. What do I need to do? It took me like 2 days to find the charger for my laptop because I had to complete the process on the thing. So I actually made money off that domain name. And then, I've used that name on and off. And it's so funny because yesterday, so two funny things that kind of prompted this video particularly was one, yesterday I went to a friend of mine. I originally named this channel Business Intuition because I'm thinking like, what's my show about? Right. And then a friend of mine was like, oh my God, you've got too many names, too many things going on. And I'm like, there is a rhyme or reason to this. Okay. There's method to the madness. So then I scrolled through YouTube and I was like, oh, people use their business name or their actual name. And I'm like, okay, I get it now. So I changed it to Visions of Hope. And then my 8-year-old sweetheart that he's like, Mom, I'm going to go, like and subscribe. And I was like, oh, he's my first subscriber. So sweet. My family is very supportive and it really helps because my parents always weren't. So it's nice to have a family that really loves you and supports you and stuff like that. So anyway, he goes to search for Visions of Hope and a church comes up. And I'm like, great. And then we scroll down and there's a book, there's a drug and alcohol rehab. And I'm like, great. And it's so funny because I've been feeling like this name doesn't really suit what I want to, what I've been doing for the past couple of years, actually longer than that. Probably about 10 years now or longer, I've been working with business owners and using my intuition and helping them tap into their intuition in order to create a business that's in alignment, a business that is part of their lifestyle. Not I would do my business and then I have my life. It's an integral part of their business. And they're creating income and they're creating impact. So Visions of Hope doesn't really fit that anymore. When I started it, I was a tarot reader. I was making crystal beaded jewelry, and it fit for that. It was like visions because I'm a clairvoyant. Visions like jewelry can be a vision of beauty. And then hope is, Alpita means hope in Greek. So I felt this feeling that I've outgrown this name, but it's like, well, that's what I have right now. And that's what I wanted to move forward with, right? Like not to make too many changes, not too much stuff on my plate. So when Joey found this, I was like, oh, great. there was this little bit of a letdown, but almost it was kind of like it gave me permission to do what I wanted to do, which was change the name anyway, right? So like when we don't get attached to the names of the products and services that we have, it opens us up to grow, to come up with something a little more creative, something a little more unusual, right? And it's so funny because this morning when I went on Facebook, one of my memories was literally from 2018 to today's date, 2018. I said, I'm taking back my business name. Like, it's like the universe is like laughing. It's like, okay. So, we have to approach these things with a sense of humor. When we clutch too tightly to these things, when we're like, oh, that's the best name. I'm going to get all my paperwork. I'm going to fight it. I'm going to trademark it and then I'm going to sue these people. What does that do? Am I creating impact? Am I creating income? No, I'm wasting time trying to reclaim something that, obviously I wasn't that attached to it because I let the domain name go. I've, my business has been on and off for many, many years. And so it was like, it's time to start anew. Okay. And maybe your process is a little harder. I'll give you another example. So I put out 4 years ago, I put out a membership program called the Inner Circle. And I sent out emails and I posted it on Facebook. And Facebook, of course, came back saying, hey, this person is doing an Inner Circle program too. And her membership's called Inner Circle. And all of a sudden I started to doubt myself and I'm like, ooh, did I steal her name? And it's like, I had been part of her email list. I hadn't been a member of her email list for a while. I really like some of the stuff she did. And then some of the other stuff didn't resonate for me. So I decided to unsubscribe because like I was finding myself like being annoyed about the parts that I didn't like more than getting knowledge from the parts that I did like. So is it possible she had that program? No, actually, I did my research and she had launched that before I launched my program, but after I had left her community. So this information, all that, like, have you ever seen something on TV and you're like, I had that idea? All this information, all these ideas are in the superconscious. Okay. It's the energetic internet that we're all connected to. So somebody else got that idea too, and they decided to act on it. It's no big deal. When we get attached and we start to have resistance and we start to fight it, that program never went anywhere because all of a sudden I started to have guilt and doubt myself. It's like, oh my God. And then I find later on, it's like, I found so many people that use the word Inner Circle for their membership program. And it's okay because I can say this is Visions of Hope's Inner Circle or Elpita's Inner Circle or whatever my new business name is, Inner Circle. I can still use it. It doesn't mean that you can't use it, but it does give you an opportunity to play with something and try something new. So don't get attached to these things. Don't spend your wheels being upset and being like, that was mine and they stole it. And no, just pick something new. Be like, what would be something crazy and wild and unique that I can do? Okay. The Inner Circle concept is old hat now. Sorry to tell you that, it's old hat. Everybody has an inner circle. The gym has an inner circle. This place has an inner circle. You know what I mean? Do something different. Okay. And so attaching to these names, these like, oh my God, I came up with this cool name. I'm not saying that you shouldn't get excited about it, but don't get excited about it until you actually Google it, you get the domain name, and it's yours. Because otherwise, you're setting yourself up for heartbreak. If you do find that it's not available or that somebody else has it, see it as an opportunity to create something even more unique. Okay, so what I did, so one thing that I did was I set an intention. I'm big about sending an intention. What that does is it's literally putting in a destination for your intuition. Your intuition is your GPS, okay? It's going to say, watch that show, read that book, email that person, and it will give you that route to find what it is you've set as an intention, as a destination, right? So my destination is to come up with a new business name. So what I did was yesterday, I just started writing stuff down. Word brainstorming. Okay. I literally said business name brainstorm. So just paper and pen. I mean, you can use a computer, you could use whatever you want. You could videotape yourself, just word association. That's basically what it is. It's word association. Just like what are cool things that you think about? What are things that business, your product, your service does? Okay. What does it do? How does it make people feel? What's the end result? What's the goal? What do you bring into it? What's your special brand of magic that you do? You could use something that's out there. I mean, I don't know why, but this is the example that's coming to me. The band Seven Mary Three, that comes from the call stuff on the show Chips. I know I'm dating myself. Back in the 70s, I only watched reruns, if that makes it any better. But anyway, that was their, breaker kind of sort of thing on their intercoms or whatever those things are called. That's where that comes from. Atreyu, there's a band called Atreyu out there, and that was the name of the boy in the Neverending Story, if you're familiar with that. People come up with all sorts of creative stuff, and sometimes we do borrow stuff. We'll see something and we're like, ooh, I like that, I'm going to use that as my business name or my product name. And there's nothing wrong with that, as long as nobody else is using it in the same capacity. You can use it as long as, like, if you have it has to be in a different medium. There are ways for you to use stuff that somebody else has, but it's like let's say I wanted to do the inner circle. I could say Elpida's Inner Circle. I could say Visions of Hope Inner Circle, or whatever the business name I come up with might be. So just be open. Just don't get attached to stuff. Attachment leads to resistance and heartache, and we spend so much energy like fighting it. Don't fight it. Be like, okay, the universe is saying to go in a different direction. Now I can do what I really want to do, or whatever it is. I'm free to create something new. Okay. And just play with it. I find the best thing to do is to do something like this, the brainstorming on paper or thing, and then kind of let it go. So later this afternoon, I think I might write some more. But I set that intention that by the end of the week, by Friday, I want to create a video on here and announce my new name. It may happen, it may not. But when we do set that intention, we're giving our intuition something to work on. We're giving it a destination. And trust me, it will. It will yield results. It will guide me to pick up this book. It will guide me to talk to this person. It will guide me to watch some show, and the name will come. Okay. So we don't need to sit there and figure stuff out. This isn't math. It's just allowing the ideas to flow and waiting for that. Not waiting, but you don't want to just be like, oh, well, eventually. You definitely want to set a deadline for yourself, because especially if your established business, or even if you're starting a new business, you want to have something to put out there. You don't want to be waiting on the name. Give yourself a deadline. Give yourself some criteria, and just allow your GPS, your intuition, to go on autopilot. And you'd be surprised the gold that comes back from that. I mean, it's phenomenal. All right, you guys, if you like this video, press like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.